Hey, Sessions and Solutions. It's your man, Torres Patrick, man, Big Tiger, man, whatever you don't call me, man. Just don't call me Collect. Look, hey, we about to get into it. I got on a podcast today, the Thinker podcast, and I was trying to have a conversation with them about black men, like being at the bottom of everything. Like, it was a transgender on there that was saying black men are at the bottom of everything, education, like money, um, STDs, all this kind of stuff, and we just like the scum of the earth, right? So I was trying to say, okay, well, look at the whole passage of how we got here. Like, no, I'm not just trying to blame the white man, but if we go back and look at, it was a general that went to Africa a long time ago, and he wrote a letter back to England, and it was like, or Rome or wherever he wrote it back to, and he was just like, look, over here in Africa, these dudes, they ain't struggling. I ain't see no beggars out here. I don't see nobody out here living on the streets. Like, they nice, they ain't lying, they good people. They had statues with men and women together. And when the Europeans went there, they knocked some of these statues down. Europeans had statues with men and men, right? So if we gonna look at all this kind of stuff, and y'all say black men have a problem with gays, black men might have a more of an issue with gays than the Caucasian men, because a lot of Caucasian men, they believe in that. That was they kind of their lifestyle. So I'm not saying all of them, but it was a part of their lifestyle. They had statues showing where men doing stuff with other men, right? That wasn't going on in Africa, right? So a lot of times when y'all look at these situations and stuff, y'all got to kind of look at it for what it is. A lot of things of how we move and how we live today is because there was a hand placed on us and it molded us this way, right? Like, we had business owners and we had towns and everything, grocery stores back in the day, right? Farmers and everything back in the day. But what y'all leave out of the conversation is how a lot of these small towns was burnt down. A lot of these grocery stores were burnt down. A lot of these people were lynched. A lot of these towns was actually kind of like what it is, dammed up, and the water just filled up the whole town. Because a lot of times they stayed in places that was kind of muddy and stuff where other people felt like, okay, this is not suitable to build. The black people would go because, okay, nobody don't want this land. We'll go over here. We'll build. We'll buy this land because they don't want it. But they see they could dam it up. And it's like 7 cities in America that's like this, y'all. So when we look at these different things, understand how we got here. We talking about that one guy, he was saying how black men actually take out transgender people and women, right? And I was like, that's in every race. Every race, you're gonna have white on white crime, Hispanic on Hispanic, whatever, like you're gonna have that, right? That's like, if y'all stop being inside this bubble and look outside the bubble, it happens in every race. It happens. You got a lot of DL white men that don't want their families and friends to know what they do. And if you try to tell, they will knock you off. Like, this happens all the time. So y'all trying to make it seem like it's just a black man thing, but really, when black men was in control, this was not a black man thing at all. But you're always going to have where the people that live next to each other, and it's a stat on this, the people that live next to each other, they're going to do the most violence and harm to each other, because when you get upset and angry, you take out your frustration on the people that's close to you. Or the person that's close to you, they're the ones that can steal from you, they're the ones that can have sex with your wives or whatever. So this is the reason why it's more violence when it's in close proximity. So we got to look at some of these things and understand, like, the reason why the world works this way is because we've been molded to work this way, right? Not trying to excuse men for all their bad behavior, but it's different kind of men. You got men that at the bottom of the totem pole. What I say by that is dudes that's in and out of jail. I ain't saying somebody that went to jail one time, because people make mistakes. But dudes is in and out of jail. Dudes is can't never keep a job. Not you got a job and you moved up and you got another job, a better job. No, it's like you got fired from this job, you went to that job, you got fired from this job, you went to that job, got fired from this job. Like, or you just don't want to work, you quitting without even another job lined up, these kind of dudes, these kind of women, they're going to try to leech off somebody. That's just how it is because they don't have their own. So if you deal with a person like this, and I had a conversation with a woman and she was like going in, boom, 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 boom. And I told her this right here. I said, but it's the difference between high functioning men and low functioning men. I said, what I found out, a lot of women like making babies with low functioning men. I said, how many people in your family have had babies with a person that was has been incarcerated multiple times? A person that in and out of different jobs, or a person that's a very high roller. He has a bunch of money, drug dealer, business owners, all these kind of guys, and they can afford to play and have multiple women. More women have kids from these kind of men. Men that lie to them and tell them what they want to hear, and men that give them what they want. Both of these men are giving what they want. One of them is mentally giving them what they want, and the other one is physically giving them finances. But it's no real accountability. The stable man in the middle that's saying, look, I can't afford this, or I can't be with you all day. I have to go to work. I have to work this overtime so we can add this room onto the house, or blah, blah, blah. They don't like that. That's called discipline. And I'm not here to bash women. I'm just telling y'all the stats. I know a bunch of men that graduate college, that have houses, jobs, all this kind of stuff, that are single. You know why? Because they looked at what the women was asking. They're like, okay, I can't, that price is too high for me to afford. They said, okay, well, I'm going to go to the person that can afford it, or I'm going to go to the person that's going to lie and tell me they can afford it. But I asked the woman, I said, hey, let's go down the list of the people in your family. And you do this to yourself. Let's go down the list and see how many women had a baby from a good guy that was a hardworking guy that wanted to marry her, or a guy that was in and out of jail, selling drugs, doing something illegal, scamming, or he was a high earner. He maybe had kids, all this kind of stuff, but it didn't matter because he was a high earner. They still gave him a shot because they felt like they was going to have a great life with this guy because they wanted him for his finances, not for his character. Just take a step back and look at this, y'all. Look, we're going to start cooking on here, man. And another thing, ladies, I want y'all to look at, because I'm getting a lot of this, like men are bashing women. And you do have pockets of men that are fed up with black women and they bash black women. A lot of those men are very immature, right? Very immature. They shouldn't do that. I would never just try to bash a woman just to bash her, right? I want to have a conversation. That's why this channel is called Solutions, right? Like Sessions and Solutions, because we're trying to get solutions, right? So when you're having a conversation with a person and they start to cut you off and they start to call you names, just know this person is immature. Just know this person is immature. Just know this person is immature. When they start to call you out your name, broke, dusty, uneducated, they don't even know you. They don't even know if you have education. They're just saying you're uneducated. They don't even know. And they're trying to do this to sidetrack you so you can't make your point. So when you're dealing with people, just understand what you're dealing with. And you got to start noticing the red flags, y'all. We're going to talk about red flags. There's a lot of red flags in relationships. Well, I'm going to say this right here. The visual red flags. And these are the red flags for me. And I'm not saying every one of them is a deal breaker, but if they got all of them, for sure run. If they got 3, run. First, I'm going to start off red hair. Red hair, earrings in the nose, loop earrings, multiple face piercings, like lip, all that kind of stuff. Now the ears, that's kind of, you got, that happened when you was a little baby. But face stuff, nose, lips, all that kind of stuff, eyebrow, all that kind of stuff, all those piercings, that's a flag. That's a flag. Long nails with all the stuff on them, that's a flag. Long eyelashes, that's a flag. Medium eyelashes, okay. Long eyelashes every day of the week, that's a flag. Listen to me, that's a flag. What's another flag? Smoking and drinking every day. You can smoke and drink here and there, but if you got to smoke and drink every day, that's a flag. So just know, these are flags. Guys, women, if you want to engage, women, some of these flags. If a dude has flashy stuff, flashy car, flashy clothes, but he live with somebody, that's a flag. Priorities are not in order. If a man has multiple baby mothers and he's trying to holler at you and he's not trying to spend time with his kids, you don't never see him doing stuff with his kids. When you look at his Facebook page, you don't see none of his kids. That's a flag. A guy that's asking you for money early, flag. That's a flag. Let me see what else. A guy that did a lot of time in jail, that's a flag. The reason why that's a flag, because he knew what he was doing wasn't right and he did it anyway. So that means he believes that he can get away with stuff, or he just don't care. He don't care. Another thing, if a person can't communicate effectively, they start calling names, they start getting upset, they get super quiet, flag. These are all flags, y'all. Flags. So yeah, so these are some of the things we're gonna talk about on this channel. I will have guests, I will invite people on, and we're trying to get to the bottom of something every time, y'all. We're trying to have an issue and we're trying to get to the back end of the issue. Like I talked to this lady about single mothers raising kids, right? And yeah, that's a sore spot to say single mothers can't raise kids and at a high level, and they end up being incarcerated and they end up having suicide and all this kind of stuff, getting molested. That seems like that's an attack on the single mother. That's not necessarily not an attack on the single mother. What that is saying, to raise kids, you need to have multiple eyes on kids. Y'all know how kids are, they'll disappear real quick. And the other factor that is financially. A lot of times when you're in a single parent household, you don't have the money for everything. So when your kids can't do all the activities, they don't have the money to dress a certain way, or if they can't have the right kind of food at the house, mentally they in distress. They feel like they're out of place. So when things like that happen, man, you got to be mindful. You have to be mindful of how your kids are going to be raised. So a lot of ladies and a lot of men, that's what I used to say back in the day, it's cheaper to keep them. It's better to be in the same household with each other. So when you have a mate, think about this and say, look, we got to do this right. We got to stick this out for these 19, 20 years, however long it is, until our babies are out of the house. That's what it's all about. You can't just up and leave because you're going to change the trajectory of their whole life. It's an uphill battle. And it's financially based, not just she can't do it. It's financially based, but it's also based off logic and everything. The factors of how a man treats kids and how women treat kids. You need both of them in a kid's life so they can see all the dynamics of life. So this is never like we just want to bash you. We want to talk about why this is. So ladies, if you're having sex with a man, men, if you're having sex with a woman, you need to ask them a lot of questions. How are we going to do this? If we have a child, we will be. I mean, some of these people are going to go back on what they say, but you need to have these questions openly. This is why I haven't had kids, because I always had these conversations with women. A lot of times women run away from these conversations. I know a lot of dudes that got a lot of kids, they never have this conversation. So the woman, okay, we don't have to talk about this. It don't matter until it does matter. And it always matters. That's why I try to have a conversation early so she'll know where I stand. And a lot of women that found out that I wanted to be present in my kids' life and I wanted to run things a certain way and have things, checks and balances, they opted out of that. They want to just do the willy-nilly way. So be mindful, y'all, when y'all start getting into these situations, and understand some people, they just like chaos and they want to be in it. So you got to talk about it and bring it to the stage. The people that want to be in that chaos, they will move away from you.